Hello, Starshine. My name is Liz and this is my channel, Simsational Stories. If you have not seen my videos before and you enjoy this one, please like and subscribe. And maybe check out my Facebook page where this whole thing began as well. All relevant links are in the description below. And of course, if you're a Sims player and you'd like to download any of the characters featured in my stories, just search the hashtag Simsational Stories on the Sims 4 gallery. All original content is created by This Is Not Eric. Alrighty then. So, welcome. And what is up, Buttercup? Are you having a good day or a bad day? Whichever your answer, please allow me to distract you from your life and tell you a story, a Simsational story. Before I begin though, I'd like to issue this blanket content and trigger warning. The following story is just Sims, hey. I'm not going to apologise for treating them terribly, if that's what I've done. But I do want to assure you now that although I mean absolutely no harm, I completely understand if you feel unable to consume my content. Many loves, and we will catch each other on the internet elsewhere. Okay, so now we've gotten that over with, let's go. Today's story is from Kellyanne Kalthis & Co., and we're at chapter 7. If you have not seen previous chapters and would like to catch up, there are playlists available on my channel so you can hear the entire story in chronological order. The rest of us are going to move on from where we left off last time though. So without further ado. Things were pretty hot and heavy between landlord Gino Grubb and his tenant Kellyanne Kalthis. Before Kellyanne, Gino had never really been with a woman before. And Kellyanne had never been one to say no to a good tussle in the hay. Or closet, as the case often was. They may have been together, but they didn't live together. Kellyanne wasn't ready for that, and Gino definitely wasn't ready for that. His parents had died a few years ago, and he lived alone now. He liked Kellyanne well enough, but he wasn't really keen on the idea of the kids. And she had 4 of them. It wasn't that Gino hated kids or anything. Not like Kellyanne did, anyway. But he wasn't very experienced in the baby department either. And if he was being honest, the whole thing was just a bit more overwhelming than he'd realised before. Had he gotten in over his head here? Kelsey in particular seemed to get on the worst with Gino. She'd had it up to here with this cycle. She could see where all this was going, and she had enough little siblings to look after already. From the very start, Kelsey did her best to try to chase Gino off by being rude and uncooperative. Kellyanne had no idea what her daughter was up to, of course. In her mind, she knew she'd finally found the perfect man. Gino was too pathetic to ever get with anybody else, and he knew it. So she would be safe with him, and he would look after her. In her own way, because she felt so secure, Kellyanne was beginning to truly love Gino Grubb. So when Gino at last aired his grievances and worries about the logic and longevity of their relationship, Kellyanne couldn't help but physically recoil at his words. He had seemed so harmless, so sweet. She hadn't seen this coming. Just when she'd started to believe things could finally work out for her. And Gino didn't call after that day. He didn't send the rent bill either, though, which Kellyanne took as a hopeful sign. Maybe he just needed time. Time to adjust to everything. It was all so new to him. Hell, it was still new to her. But he would call eventually, wouldn't he? And of course, this was when she would start to experience the terrible, familiar signs of morning sickness for the 5th time in her life. Kellyanne didn't want to believe it. It couldn't be true. Not again. Really? She'd been trying so hard to be careful this time, but Gino really had been very demanding. Kellyanne didn't know how she was going to handle this. She was pregnant for the 5th time, and the father of this latest baby hadn't called in weeks. How was she even going to tell him this? Gino had left her because he wasn't ready to deal with her children. How was he going to deal with his own? Kellyanne found Gino at the club, the very same club she used to take him to back in the start of their relationship. But this was no time to focus on annoying little things like that, and there was no easy way to do it. so she just came right out and said it. She was pregnant, and it was his. Gino was not happy about the news. Another person really not happy with the news was Kelsey. This was exactly what she hadn't wanted to have happen. And yet she'd known it would. Her mother was stupid like that. She didn't ever seem to think of the consequences. She just didn't want to be alone. Kelsey had no sympathy for it. Because Kellyanne already wasn't alone. She had them, her children. Kelsey didn't understand why they weren't enough for their mother, why she always seemed to need to find a new man. Kellyanne was instead devastated by the loss of yet another boyfriend and comfort eating through her pregnancy once again. Kellyanne tried talking to Gino again, but it was like talking to a brick wall. After their breakup, Gino had grown confidence in himself and was now living a different life. Kellyanne was almost like a bad memory, and he wanted nothing to do with her or her baby. During another confrontation, Kellyanne just couldn't help herself from following him around. Gino accused Kellyanne of trying to trap him. She'd known he was wealthy and had gotten pregnant on purpose, hoping for an easy lifestyle. Well, he'd see about that, wouldn't he? And that brings us to the end of Chapter 7 of Kellyanne Kalthis & Co. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can tune in soon to hear the next chapter. Or like I said, look us up on Facebook. Bye!